Welcome, White Lining Agents, to another episode of Counterintelligence, reporting in from the undisclosed location. I am Ethan Gelinas, and joining me today are Kyle C. Sullivan and J.P. Deovando.
This week we gathered intel on winter holidays. Often strongly tied to cultural or religious practices, there are many different interpretations of their origins, but celebrations centered around the longest, darkest day of the year have been common since the dawn of recorded history. A time when humankind thought winter was divine punishment for daring to smile instead of suffering from dysentery while also being eaten by a mountain lion as nature intended. In fairness to ancient people, winter was terrifying. The world around you would gradually turn cold, white, and dead, and then just stay that way. The only upside was that predicting the end of the world was a much more respectable career path because you were right 50% of the time. Once winter settled in, there was no guarantee that you or any of your loved ones would live to see the next one. Your fate was in the hands of the gods, and this happened every year. And every single year, on the winter solstice, the shortest day and the longest night, our ancestors did exactly what we would expect them to. Cover everything in lights and throw the biggest party they possibly could. Common practices were to slaughter the best livestock available and have a massive feast, because cows are fatties and eating them is better than feeding them. Families, friends, and distant relations would get together to eat their best food, drink their best wine, use the remainder of their extraneous supplies to craft whimsical decorations, and spend the night reminiscing about old times, because none of them knew when or if they'd see each other again. It was a time to remember and enjoy the best parts of life. And even though we've now conquered the planet, building defenses against all but the most extreme elements of nature, we still carry on many of the same traditions today. However, some of the more uncommon ones, to me, are much more interesting than the usual ones.
All right.
So
Kyle will now have sticky hands for the rest of this podcast.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm going to have to clean this table after we're done with it.
Oh, it's going to be great. I can't wait.
I also forget that December is or Christmas is at different times, or the winter holidays in general, based on where you are in the world. Because if you're in the southern hemisphere, it's in June, because the seasons are switched.
Man,
so it's like
being
cold
in the southern hemisphere and watching a Christmas special must be the weirdest thing. Like, why is it all snowy?
I'm actually curious about that. If any of our listeners are from Australia or
what is an Australian Christmas special
elsewhere
like?
in the
is it just like the same?
Well, I'm curious about your schedule. Like, do they celebrate, because Christmas kind of happens in, at least to us here in the US and in Europe, all at the same time. Like, it's a worldwide event, supposedly.
Do you think they wait for like their
Well,
winter?
yeah, I don't know. Do you guys celebrate Christmas in your summer, or do they wait till winter or something? So I'd be curious to hear about that after our whole description of, how winter holidays formed. I'm wondering if it actually is a winter holiday in some cultures.
My guess would be if it's Christmas they're celebrating, they do it in December like everybody else.
You would think, because it would have to be tied in with...
Because the date is the date. It's like this huge tradition. Even though Jesus wasn't...
Yeah, because that one is specifically based off the religion, so...
Yeah.
We do have a cultural fan base, so we probably do have a lot of people in Australia that we know.
I think we probably have a few Australian...
Jazza lives in Australia, right? You can ask him.
Jazz is not watching this, but yeah, I can. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Clausum.
What about Clausum?
there was a holiday celebrated on the Dutch island of.
Please say it right.
Shermanikoog. That was called Clausum, and I'm not gonna lie, I clicked on it because it was called Clausum, and I just was curious to see what it was.
Happy Clausum.
But
Shermanikoog.
I learned that it's actually like Halloween on Christmas.
That sounds awesome.
It was an interesting combination.
How does it work?
It was people basically dress in Halloween costumes that they call Clausums, and it was like. On the ever-reliable Wikipedia, it was described as they dress as local politicians or celebrities or fantasy characters, basically Halloween costumes, and they go around to people's homes and they put on performances.
That sounds like it'd be really annoying after the fifth one.
And well, this may actually have something to do with the origin of trick-or-treating, because that's basically what it is. And they would have 2 different days. The adults would do it and the kids would do it, but when the kids do it, they would get like treats in reward for it.
That's awesome.
So that may be where trick-or-treating
It really
came from.
does sound like an
interestingly.
origin story for.
I don't, or they could just like share a common ancestors. But yeah, and then
interesting.
after that they would have their big Christmas feast.
Oh,
That's awesome.
So that's I guess they just put on skits or something. I really don't know
I
what
would
it just said.
imagine.
Performances. It didn't get very specific.
pulls out like a notepad with jokes in it.
Probably like
Knock knock.
sing little songs.
Oh yeah, probably like caroling.
That one was interesting. I just noticed that for some reason on the actual episodes I keep forgetting to check the time when we start, so I don't know how long these
Yeah.
are going for.
10 minutes maybe.
And then I also looked into the origin of Christmas trees, which supposedly originated from Germany, but there were a lot of different opinions on where Christmas trees possibly came
As is
from.
everything kind of like that.
The one thing that I actually heard specifically was this story of an oak tree that they apparently that was like whoever lived in Germany before modern Germans. They worshipped the oak tree, and then
Like this specific oak tree or
just the oak. I think it was just that tree. Then
just that tree over there. See how big it is?
Then some Christian dude, Saint Boniface. I'm not actually sure if that's how you pronounce his name. He cut down one of their oak trees and replaced it with an evergreen tree.
What a
And
jerk.
it was like, you guys worship this now. And it's supposed to be because it was like 3-pointed, so it was like supposed to represent the Holy Trinity or whatever.
Man, what a jerk thing to do. Hey, you guys see that oak tree up there? Yeah, we like it a lot.
Which is not
You worship
remotely the
this
worst
now.
thing that Crusaders
Oh,
did.
absolutely not.
But then there also just the use of plants in general are pretty common, I think, in lots of cultures
The
Yeah.
poinsettia.
for representing life and stuff, and that was just kind of what they decorated things with because that's what they had around. So they would just craft decorations out of leftover bits of things they had collected and would
The
decorate
cow
all
that
of
they
their
killed to eat.
yeah
Just a cow foot.
cow foot.
That's what that's going to be on my tree this year, just a cow foot.
And then all the other early trees were decorated with fruits and food and stuff,
That makes
which
sense.
might
And
be
you,
where our
take it
modern
out to-
decorations come from. Because
Like
you have
candy,
the red
might
Christmas
be
balls and all
Yeah,
those
yeah.
things. It kind of vaguely resembles
Kind
fruit.
of like fruit. That makes sense.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, thought that was kind of interesting. Do you guys get your trees up already?
No.
Well, my family has been using a fake tree for the past several years, but it's a really good fake tree. It's really big and
Yeah.
it looks real when all is said and done. Yeah, we did that just maybe 4 nights ago.
We got one of the ones with the fake snow on it this time.
You did?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
Does it look real?
yeah, it looks pretty good from a distance.
We also got one of those I think they're becoming a big thing where it's those laser things that shoot just a bunch of little laser dots.
Oh, up on the wall of the outside of the house.
Yeah, stuff like that.
those
No,
look pretty
we
cool.
have it in the living room.
Oh, really?
And so at night we just have it on the whole living room. Just looks like a universe
That's a good
filled
idea.
with
Sounds really
green
cool.
and red stars just everywhere. It's so cool.
Huh.
We put up our just our outside decorations. We really don't have a tree that we constantly use. We sometimes have a little tiny tree.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. But we put up our outside decorations, and a lot of them are Peanuts related. We have Snoopy on
The giant inflatable ones,
No,
or just little ones?
the thing, every time we get one of those, it dies the same day that we put it out because it's stupid.
Did you hear the German tradition where for good luck, when you put up your Christmas tree, the first ornament you should put on is a pickle ornament.
I did actually. I read
It's
about that
supposed to
while
be
I was.
good luck.
Yeah, I did read about that because you can buy actual brass pickles or something now.
Yeah,
as
it's
part of
a
that,
thing. I didn't even know.
Yeah,
We were
no,
just-
I did. That was interesting. I don't remember the reason why it was considered good luck.
God, I
Well,
don't know.
what is so a pickle is a cucumber that you put in a barrel with vinegar in it and whatnot, and
Correct.
it preserves it for a long time.
You have to find pickle. Good job.
So pickles, they last a long time and they're food, so just in case, right?
Yeah.
So putting one up on a tree is hopefully our spirit
I mean,
and
you,
our joy
you
for
could
this
just hang a
season.
can of Spam on your tree as well.
It's not the same. Pickles are old. Spam's gross.
But yeah, no, I did read about that. That was an interesting
Man, I was
thing.
trying to be 14 and deep, but you guys are just...
I'm sorry.
Um.
I want to try Spam someday. I really do.
Also, I don't know how I found this particular thing, but I found one legend, also Dutch again. That you guys are odd, but there was this Dutch legend of somebody named Black Peter.
Oh, that's terrifying.
And
Zwarte Piet.
Zwarte Piet. Zwarte, yeah, that's what he was. What it is in Dutch. That's correct, right? In Dutch. I don't know if that's the way you say that or not. Is that a language? Dutch?
Yeah. Well,
Dutch is a language.
I should know more about this stuff before I start talking about it, especially on this show. That's kind of the point of this show. But anyway, yeah, if you're thinking Black Peter sounds like something that might be a mildly racist version of somebody wearing blackface, and
It is.
this is absolutely terrifying.
yeah, no, it was like it's a character who supposedly followed Santa around and stuff, and he was supposed to be the guy who punished kids instead of rewarding them. And there's kind of a version of that in a lot of different cultures, like the Krampus
Krampus
thing, which is they just made a movie of, like a horror. They just made a horror movie called Krampus.
I really want to see that.
Really?
Actually, yeah.
Is it just people like finding coal in their stockings, going no, and then dying?
No, it's actually very kind of. I heard it was Gremlins-esque.
Back when the world was a much more terrible place, parents used to tell children, like, Santa would watch, well, the whole Santa story in general is like if you break down the lyrics to the Santa Claus song, he knows when you're sleeping and when you're like, he was a much more imposing figure back in the day.
It's a very good.
Before Coca-Cola got a hold of him.
I mean, just the lyrics are a good premise for a horror movie.
Yeah. But that was the case. It was like, you be good and you get presents, be bad, Santa will kill you. Like, that was basically
Krampus.
it.
Krampus would grab a bag and just slam you around.
It would depend on the culture. It would either be Santa, or it'd be Split, or it would be Blackface Peter.
God.
Who was that? He literally is only portrayed by people, not by black people, by people wearing black makeup and, like, big red lipstick and, like, the clown hair.
That's
and
just
earrings and like Renaissance fair dress.
Inverse Ronald McDonald.
Yeah, and so it was. God. But yeah, in more recent years, like within the last century or something, people were like, no, he's a chimney sweep. That's why his face is black.
Sure.
Which is really interesting because it's the first time I've ever heard somebody, when accused with doing something in racist blackface, not remove the blackface, but instead come up with an alternate explanation of the blackface, as if that somehow fixes it.
He leaves coal in everyone's stockings, and it sometimes gets on his face.
So there's a bit of a movement to maybe start ignoring that character so much in their culture. But
so is this still, like, is this a thing that they still talk about, or is this just
it is
like
still used? It's like a 50-50 split still. It's actually not like a full... They have not totally removed this yet for some reason. And again, it originated... It's a Dutch legend originally. I think it was a character in several countries around that area.
I have a couple of Dutch professors. I kind of want to ask them about Black Peter now.
Yeah.
Oh, Black Peter, he's great.
But yeah, I don't know if that's just like in school plays or something. If that's like a character some of the kids play. Or
I don't think that'd be a thing in school plays, Kyle.
Well, we have the Christmas pageants here, so maybe...
So you're going to be Santa.
Maybe in the Netherlands,
you're going to be the guy in blackface that kills people.
Well, see, only in the really old legends does he punish people. Now, like, in some cases, like, no, he's like Santa's buddy. They go do stuff together.
Hey,
like, they've tried to fix it in every way other than removing the blackface paint.
It's like, yeah, they go get drinks and watch the game on Friday.
Ryan Colbeck says, if you have power over the doors and the pause button, you have power over time and space.
Just like Pokemon.
That's a good point. And yet still I lose every time. That game was nightmarish.
It's a really hard game, especially if you play on normal, which is apparently hard mode.
I actually purchased the game this time. Faster Than Light was what the last one was about. It's like a strategy game. Would that be appropriate?
Yeah.
Sort of like a strategy game where
it's like a spaceship.
You're managing a spaceship and the crew on it.
Okay.
And
yeah, I haven't seen this video yet.
And trying to
watch
not
it right
die.
now, like in that one community.
We could. But yeah, it's very difficult. It was. I didn't play much of it, to be perfectly honest.
Wow.
Like I played a few hours of it, but I didn't play much of it because I would breeze through like 3 levels and be like, I'm doing pretty good, and then I'd be dead.
First bass.
Fassert bass.
Fassert bass.
Fassert. The S comes first.
Fine. From bass.
Also, these comments are on the Faster Than Light video. I guess I should have mentioned that at the beginning.
No, they're from the Civilization video. FTL is the most fun when somebody else is playing for you. That way you can stand behind him and yell, "Target the engine room!" and all that fancy stuff. The immersion is real, I tell ya. I completely agree.
That would be a fun way to do
amazing.
it. I saw that somebody was actually developing a game that ran that way.
It's like an iPhone game, and everyone else has stuff. Like, you get the orders for everyone else's crap.
Oh, did they put it on mobile? Because the last time I saw
it's
it, I think was like a year or two ago when it was. I don't know if it ever even got released.
It was out when I was in high school, so I think we're thinking about different
But
games.
there was one where it would, like, you just have the screen, basically, of whatever your job was. So it would be a Star Trek kind of setup. You could log into a game server, and you'd have the engineer and the captain and the guy on weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
And so the captain would give orders based on his readouts, and everybody would have their own little job. It looked kind of cool. There's a new one, actually, out right now that kind of follows that pattern, that mixes with MMO stuff. I don't remember what it's called. Somebody remind me what it's called in the comments. It's
Super Space Star Force 4.
It looks like a really stripped down version of Star Citizen, actually.
What is
But
Star Citizen?
but
Oh,
they
I know
didn't
Star Citizen.
they didn't take several years to make it. They
See,
just
I-
kind of
I
made
thought,
it.
I thought you were saying Star Forge. And I was
It
like,
also is not nearly as pretty as Star Citizen, but
not Star Forge, Kyle. That doesn't exist.
oh yeah, Star Force, that one game that we all bought and then forgot about immediately.
By Will Rodriguez. It want a White Lightning HQ coffee mug. Ah! Curse my low sales resistance.
You can purchase these mugs on our store, by the way.
Oh man, I love to drink from White Lightning because
They have the counterintelligence logo on them, and they are available for purchase on our Zazzle store.
They also
along
make everything taste delicious.
with some T-shirts and stuff. Not a whole lot of T-shirts yet. We have like a list of ideas, but I haven't made all of them. You can get all of the guards themselves posters, and we have a "You Want to Buy a Knife" shirt. That's
Nice.
pretty cool.
I wasn't ready for that face.
Do you have this crappy shirt?
I do have this crappy shirt. You can
Yes,
get that. You can
I
get the
want-
Awesome Man shirt also because that was really easy to do.
What about what was the one that people kept on saying that they wanted?
And you can get a White Lightning watch. 'cause that was
Everyone
available.
wants a DoodleCon, right?
Yeah, we'll make a
The
DoodleCon
other
shirt.
one.
We had a few. Oh, the Your Frells Are Now on Fire shirt. We're
Yeah,
gonna do
that one. I want that one.
We have a whole list of ideas, and we'll be putting them up.
Is
You
it
can go.
sad that I'm gonna buy a lot of merchandise and the thing that
No, I kind of want. I keep checking my elbows because I'm afraid I'm like getting it in discarded
your-
ice cream
your
sandwich.
milk?
But yeah, no, I want the knife shirt. I was proud of that design. So yeah, head on over to our store and at least look at things if you don't buy anything, because it is
Smell 'em.
Zazzle and everything is overpriced. I'm not gonna pretend like it's not,
Hey.
because it's all like made to order.
Give us $1 and we'll give you nothing. That's a lie, actually. We have a Patreon.
Thanks for joining us this week, everybody.
We
Leave
raise
us
our
your
glass- oh,
leave us your suggestions for topics for future episodes. As of this recording, we have not actually released the first episode, which is why we're still drawing from
we're
our
actually
own.
releasing it right now. on
pool of
Kyle's
topics.
iPod. Kyle's iPod. This is his iPod.
But yeah, suggest topics for future episodes, and we will go investigate them, gather intelligence, come back and report. Everybody have a merry, happy Christmas, or Hanukkah, or Kwanzaa, or what was that other one called? Clausum.
Being invaded by 12 small men that
Stay
steal
away
everything you
from-
own.
Have a happy
Stay
Clausum.
away from
Stay
Black
away
Peter.
from Black Peter.
Hey, Peter.
And
Hey, Peter.
Peter.
have a good new year. This video will now self-destruct.